Greetings, Dr. Powell. My name is William Dickerson, a student in your class. I'm a graduate student in the Southern University Business Program with a minor in supply chain, also a business concentration in human resources. Today I'm going to discuss Chapter 6, Consumer Decision Making. Consumers are very important to the business world. They produce and serve preferences that are constantly changing in the business world. Like as such with the coronavirus, consumers have changed the business dynamic very tremendously. Consumer behavior also describes how people feel when they buy something, how consumers make purchases, what decisions bring about the decision to make that purchase, and how they use and dispose of the goods that they purchase. How do they feel after they purchase certain goods? What makes them feel important when they purchase certain goods? And the aspects that come with purchasing certain goods. And preferably, how businesses study the foundations of these thinking points that consumers have. Value is a personal assessment, and that's something we went over in the chapter. A personal assessment of the network of what people get when they purchase a certain type of product and how they feel after they purchase that type of product. The feeling that they get if they purchase something that's very expensive, the feeling that they get if they purchase something that's not that expensive. Is it an enduring feeling? Does it make them feel good? Do they want to tell others about the gift that they have? Do they want to take pictures with the purchase that they have? It's what you give to get what you receive. Basically, it's you get what you receive in a nutshell. A lot of people, when they purchase big products such as cars, you'll notice they'll study the product, they'll study the market, they'll study how the car looks, they'll study how it looks with other people. They might even take a picture of themselves in front of the car at the dealership. I've seen some people do that. And some dealerships will market to people that believe in a car making them feel good, where they'll have them come in and, hey, come sit in the car today. It's social media day. You could take a picture with the car that you dream is your dream car. And a lot of people basically hope they can get this type of lifestyle, so they do certain things. And that's another part of consumer decision making that a lot of people don't discuss, but I will try to discuss it a little bit to give you the gist of how important it is when consumers make decisions. Hoping to get benefits like durability is something people pay attention to. How long will the product last? The life of the product, the perceived value of the product. Does, if they sell a big money product like a purchase of a house, how long will the value hold on that house? Certain neighborhoods that they purchase the house, how will it perceive to them to look? Will they look like the Joneses or will they look like the Johnsons? It's a very important thing, especially with the ethnic black community, how we look when we buy something, how we're perceived by family members, friends, associates, business partners, by having certain type of products that we have in our lifestyle. There's also purchases that can be broken down into two categories. Alternative value is derived from a product or a service that helps a consumer solve problems and accomplish a task. Basically, a lot of businesses and a lot of service industries are committed and are designed to solve problems that we have in industries. Many companies start off by solving problems for companies, and then they have a specific lane they could sell products to. Purchases can make people feel better than they really are. Purchases can make people believe that certain things are not what they seem to be. I believe that in this subject matter, many people purchase things along the value per se of, I will get this certain type of car, no matter if the car is good or not, no matter if the car is worth the price that they're asking for. I'm perceived as basically looking very important driving this car, so when I go to church I can look like I'm winning. I will not look like I'm struggling. So that's another thing that people pay attention to that we don't pay attention to, but the person that designs this product, the people that make decisions, and the people that help consumers make decisions notice how people feel when they're purchasing these products, when they're having these products, and when they're handling these products. Another thing we can talk about is hedonic value, if I'm saying it correctly. Is an end to itself. The purchase tends to give good feelings, happiness, satisfaction. A lot of people don't believe in purchasing a product just because it is a good product to have. People will purchase the brand new 2020 Cadillac Escalade or the 2021 Cadillac Escalade because it makes them feel very important. It brings a hedonic value to them, if I could say it like that. They will see that it has a little better feature than the 2018 or the 2019 value of the Cadillac Escalade, and they will take that value that they feel is better than the older value, and they will run with it. And I believe that I would like to research a product before I decide to buy a product, because a lot of things will change with that vehicle, and I would feel it would be a waste of time to hurry up and jump out and buy something expensive as a vehicle that doesn't hold any value the minute I drive it off the lot. Decision-making processes have basically 5 important steps to them. They're in the decision-making process. You need recognition. You also need the information search, evaluation of alternatives, the purchase power, and the post-purchase behavior. How does this make you feel? If the product that you purchase makes you feel bad and feel like, wow, I did something stupid, then it might not be a good purchasing decision. A lot of people need recognition and imbalance between actual and desired states. And a lot of people want to be in a certain state, a certain position in their lives at a certain age compared to their other parts, their companions, about how they want to deal with things that they buy. I notice a lot of people, when they get to a certain time in their life, they like to dress a certain way and go to church looking a certain way, driving a certain type of car. It's very big in the black community to have quote unquote success, which is considered a good job, a good being, and a good purpose to themselves. It might not be a purpose to other people, but because a lot of people in our community believe that material goods deem success, they will pick this product beyond a product that might be more better, but it doesn't have the pizzazz or the good marketing capability that product A has against that product B has against product A. Product A might be a subpar product to product B, but however, because of the razz and pizzazz, and because the quote unquote conscious or the community believes that this product is better, that product will win. And that's a very important thing against other businesses, to market your product against people that like to spend and how to spend their money. They really don't care of the product that they get. So external stimulus is very important compared to internal stimulus, because people believe in making themselves feel good before paying attention to the economic base of what they're buying, or will they get more for their money when they buy certain things that they buy. A lot of people believe in having a good feeling about what they buy before their pocket or their bottom base being satisfied by the product. Internal information search is like when a person recalls information stored in the memory. So like if they know the first time that they bought a car 5 years ago, the feeling that they look for, the problems that they thought arise, they might regather that information when they go to pick out this next vehicle. And that's very important among buying things, especially among buying very important things. External information search is another thing we went over in this chapter. External information search seeks information in the outside environment. It looks for people, like you might do a Google search, you might watch a YouTube video, and you might focus on what they say on that video to pay attention to what you need to look for when you go to buy a certain type of product. It's very important to have an external information search. I believe external information search is important because you can take mistakes that other people had or other bad experiences that other people had and take into consideration when you purchase certain products. I think this is very important when you're making big time decisions, when you're making big investments, not something small as trivial as if you bought something from Dollar Tree, even though it might not be important. However, but if you're buying a house, a car, a business asset, and not wanting it to become a liability, you need to do your due diligence, do your research. And it's a good thing that you tell people, don't take my advice, do your own research. And that's a good thing to tell people, because you don't want them to come back and say that brother so-and-so told me that this was a good product. However, I received bad information and I had a bad experience due to what he told me. So it's always good to tell somebody. In consumer decision making, do your own research, do your due diligence completely. I believe if you're going to pay for something, you need to do your research, because you want to be completely satisfied with what you have or what you received, and seeking information from the outside world, outside sources, is a good thing. But you want to feel good about what you have. You want to know that you have something very important, something that you could hold on to, something that will make you feel good inside and make you feel complete and whole with what your purchase is. There are two type of external information sources that we learned about in this chapter. Non-marketing controlled information sources, which is an information source that is not associated with marketing a product directly. That's a person basically like YouTube who would come about and give you their true idea of what the purchase is. They're not getting anything from the company. They don't have any special connection to that company. They're just basically telling you their life, how it is for them, how it represents them, how it makes them feel. That basically could be truth. And the other one would be market controlled information source, and it's based toward a specific product and how it originates. It comes with marketers promoting this product, and that could be dangerous because they could tell you Kool-Aid is good, but it might have cyanide in it, but the company paid for it. So you'll believe them thinking that they're telling you the truth when they just might be worrying about their bottom dollar or what they can put in their pocket to make themselves better than where they were. So you have to pay attention. I would probably pick the previous before the last. I would probably pick the example like YouTube, where somebody would tell you their true example of unboxing a product and how this product was, how it felt in their hands, how it made them feel, the good and the bad and the ugly to that product, and not have any other problems about what's going on with that situation. Another thing we discussed in this chapter was the extent of the information search. Some people don't go completely full circle with their decision-making process, with their process of finding information. They will only go so far and they'll fall back or take it as that and run with it. An individual conducts an external search completely. It depends on his or her perceived experience, his recognition, his risk abilities, his knowledge abilities, his prior experience, his belief levels, his interests in goods or services. He might not have a good belief level in services. He might be like, I don't buy anything from people. I don't trust people. So his experience level is not going to be good. It's not going to be as available as a person that goes day in and day out and purchases big products. It might not be like a person that purchases a vehicle every 2 years considered to a person that purchases a vehicle every 12 years. So I believe the extent information search is very important for certain people. You could get a certain experience and that other person might not have that certain experience based on their perception in their mind of what they believe is good and what is not good. So prior experience is very important in consumer decision making, consumer-based decision making. Prior experience is everything. Because certain people might go to certain stores and believe that those stores are better than other stores that they perceive and have. Like client A or customer A believes in Target is a better store than Walmart, and customer B might not believe that's a good product to purchase. So you have to pay attention to the certain people and their experiences and what experience that they have. It's also a culture thing. Certain cultures do not purchase certain products, or they'll purchase a product and it might not be a big deal as it is to another culture. Some cultures are extra sensitive to certain bases of the consumer decision processes, where other cultures might not pay attention to that at all. The consumer's knowledge about the product is very important also. A service will also affect the extent of the external information. So if that culture or that person decides that they really don't care about this product, they're not going to pay too much attention to the product. So that's very important to people, to pay attention to the product and the knowledge of the product and what they think of the product. You might have a certain individual who could care less. They just want to go forward. So they'll pick up any car and have a bad experience with that vehicle, and they won't complain about it because they really don't care. It is what it is to them. And that would be the wrong person to tell Joe Blow about what's the good dynamic of this vehicle. They'll say, I sat in the car, I turned it on, and I went. And that's not really a good description. This car might have major problems, major flaws, but to them, it's expected that it have major flaws. And it might not be a person that really likes that type of product. It's just something they have to do. some people are affected by the confidence in one's decision making. Like some people might not have good confidence in themselves in their decision making, so they'll be like, I was forced to take this product and I had nobody else to help me with this product, so I decided to take it. I'm not happy with the decision I made, but my hand was forced. So however, they take this product and they do that. A lot of people, if they don't have positive thoughts in their decision making process, it leads to bad results. And you've heard that before. Bad expectations leads to bad results. So you have to concentrate and pay attention to what you do and what you use. Planned purchases versus impulsive purchases was another thing we went over in this chapter. Complex and expensive items are typically purchased only after the consumer does their due diligence. It's a planned purchase. It's not like somebody wakes up in the morning and said, okay, I'm going to buy a house. The average person will probably plan to purchase a house maybe 3 years in advance. The average consumer will plan to purchase a vehicle, but it won't be a thing like going buy a pair of tennis shoes. It won't be a thing like going to the store to purchase groceries. Psychological ownership. Consumers sometimes develop feelings of ownership towards certain things. They'll name their vehicles. They will have some type of endearment to certain brands that they will follow for life. They'll even tattoo that brand on their skin to show themselves endeared to this certain type of product, this certain type of lifestyle that this product brings, such as in the book we learned about Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson's product is a product that a lot of people like, and some people that have professional consumer jobs or professional jobs don't like the stigma that certain people that ride Harleys have, so they call them day Harley riders. They call them professional Uber Harley riders, because they're not all out Harley riders, tatted up, dirty skin, grimy type. They're the professional type, but they like the bike, so they do that. And that's a whole community by itself. That's a whole subculture of a consumer that people realize. I'm sure Harley knows about this, and they market to those certain type of people. Consumers develop this kind of relationship with products where they make subcultures on a product, and they follow that subculture. I know that because I like cars, and you have certain people that will have a whole subculture on a car brand. They'll have the car line, and you'll have certain cars with certain colors, certain type of cars, and all these guys have the same car, maybe in different designs, maybe different tricks to it, but consumer-based decision making creates subculture. It creates cliques. It creates people that have plans to do certain things with their vehicles that they wouldn't think of doing no other way. They wouldn't have, these people would not come together if it wasn't for these certain type of vehicles. So I believe consumer decision based making is very important, and that's something that we paid attention to in this chapter. If you read it, you understood that post-purchase behavior also is another thing you should discuss. When buying products, consumers expect certain type of outcomes when they. Another thing we should study and pay attention to is consumer buying decisions generally fall only continuing on three broad categories: routine responses, limited decision making, extensive decision making. Routine response will be, that's how they feel about everything they buy. It's a routine response to go to the store and buy a certain type of tennis shoe. With that person, they will go to the store and they will find that decision making it's a routine thing. It's an everyday thing for them. It's not very important. Limited decision making would be basically a person that's seen a clean, nice commercial, had a very catchy theme to it. It was played when they was watching a show they were really into. It was played when they were watching an event on TV that they were really into. It caught their eye. The consumer felt good. He made a good decision off that marketing scheme. Extensive decision making would be something that they planned, they plotted, they did research on. They know that they want to look for this type of vehicle purchased in a certain area because this company, even though it's a whole global brand, this product was designed at this company, this factory, where this factory's workers better workers than the other factory, or this product was designed on a Wednesday between the other product was designed on a Monday when the guys came back from off of having a long weekend where their product might have a lot more mistakes to it. GM had that problem. I recalled reading about that people would be scared in the 70s to buy vehicles that were made on Fridays and Mondays because the workers were going off on the weekend on Fridays, so they didn't pay attention to a lot of things slip by, and on Mondays we're recovering from a long weekend, and some things will slip by. GM had problems with that, and also drugs in their company, so they would hire undercover cops to try to weed out the people that sold drugs to their employees who would come to work and get intoxicated and also make mistakes on their products because they realized it was destroying their brand for people to know that on these 2 days don't purchase cars that have this certain type of number in the VIN number sequence because these cars were made on a certain day, and you will continue to have problems with your car because the workers were not focused on those certain days. And I think they did things like changed up the schedules where people would sometimes have to work on the weekend. They wasn't certain to have that certain day off to know that it's about to be a certain type of atmosphere when I come to work. That would be a part of extensive decision making. It could describe in terms of 5 factors: level of consumer involvement, length of time to make a decision, the cost of the good or the service, the degree of information heard from finding out stuff like that, and the number of alternatives considered. The first one, the level of consumer involvement, would be consumers would know certain days of what not to purchase a vehicle. That had to be from people on the inside to tell them, hey, don't do this. Don't purchase a vehicle on a certain day that is made. A length of time to make a decision. That's a very important decision to make. So you're going to have time to discover and to consider what you're thinking about. You're not going to just wake up in the morning, tie your shoes, and say, oh, today is a perfect day to buy a vehicle. You're probably going to have some decision making made into that, extensive decision making made into that. The cost of a good or service. A vehicle is something that some people deem a very important thing to purchase, and it costs them money. So the degree of information, they're going to pay attention to the information. They're going to pay attention to the facts and the number of alternatives considered. Maybe I could buy a better vehicle somewhere else, or I won't have this problem. So alternatives would be very important to them in their decision making based on what they receive and what they deem successful. I believe people need to pay attention to things like that when they're purchasing big products. It would make companies step their game up basically and do better by the decisions that they make for their companies. I think that's another thing we have to pay attention to before we make decisions, basically. A lot of people, when they purchase a vehicle or purchase a big important thing, previous experience the consumer has plays a part in their decision making process. If they went to a place where they didn't feel comfortable, or the people made them feel a certain way about purchasing the product, maybe they ignored them, maybe they had some type of prejudice or some type of discrimination involved, that will follow them. The previous experience will either be bad for a company or good for a company. The consumer will take all their previous experiences, good or bad, and weigh on the decisions that they make. It might help the company increase, it might help them lose. Interest, involvement in directly related consumer interest is very important. Cars that represent movies, videos, certain interests that people have will be very important to their decision making. So interest that the vehicle had, interest that the product has, will have a good effect on consumer decision based making. Perceived risk of negative consequences. Certain vehicles attach certain type of auras about them. Certain products that we buy have attached auras to them, and certain people pay attention to that. They don't want that type of aura around them. Oh, he drives this type of vehicle, he's that type of person. And you'll see the little memes of social media that says certain type of people drive certain type of cars. If they drive this type of car, they're this type of person. So perceived risk of negative consequences weighs an important experience in consumer-based marketing, consumer-based decisions. A lot of people might not buy a vehicle no matter how good the vehicle is because of the aura attached to that vehicle, i.e. Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson had a problem with that problem. Social risks occur when consumers buy products that affect their social opinion of how people see them. They might see a guy that's an engineer pull up on a Harley with a leather coat on and a leather pants, leather skinners on, leather boots, and be, oh, he's a hard ass. Excuse my French. So basically, you'll have certain people that have perceived connotations about people and how they drive and what they wear and how they walk and how they talk. Prejudice are not fair, but they're understood in this country, and consumer-based decision making is based off sometimes prejudice of what people see to them. Psychological risks occur in consumer decision making. people don't want to live in certain things, but do you have some people that do want to look a certain way and perceive a certain image, so they will decide to purchase a product that they will have to live in? They will not have a certain type of lifestyle because they overweighed themselves with purchasing this type of product, and they will have to probably drink coffee instead of eating a meal, but they will be all right because the feeling, the warm fuzzy feeling, outweighs the problems that they'll receive in other parts of their lives. So they will take it and they will feel good about it. That goes into furthermore with the chapter of social visibility. Certain people have visibility cues that they want to receive from other people. Oh, he's doing this or he's doing well. So when he drives down the street, he looks a certain way when he wears this nice $1,000 suit. Some people believe in marketing, and they have a lot of companies that market towards people that make decisions, consumer-based decisions on those type of lifestyles. Where they will be like, well, I'd rather look good than have money in my pocket. I gotta live for today. I don't know what tomorrow is. You only live once. And you'll hear some people talk that, and you'll have some companies that'll market their consumer products towards people who think like that, and they like those kind of people. And a lot of people make decisions based off that type of mindset. It's not a young or old thing. It's a mental thing that some people have, and they'll have that to the day they go, no matter how old they are, no matter how much knowledge they have in their head, or whatever knowledge they deem they feel they have. That will be the decision they made. Consumer-based decision making on social visibility, which occurs through social media, because they have to post what they have and what they believe they have, and let people know they feel they have reached a certain goal in life, and they are getting it. So I believe that's another thing people perceive is social visibility, and it's very important to certain people. They live by it and they die by it, and marketers believe in it also, because they'll market a product and have people believe that the social visibility makes you so. Marketers must also understand the way people's culture and its accompanying values of their culture coexist with decision making. Subcultures are very important, attitudes are very important, social class groups are very important with consumer based decision making, because certain people will have certain type of cars, and these certain classes of people will drive these certain type of cars, or they will purchase these certain type of products as a whole. A reference group is something we also discussed in the chapter. It consists of all of the formal and informal groups that influence a person's decision making. Teachers lie, it gives them their culture basically directly. Primary membership groups or social media type people that tell people and influence people on their purchasing products. They will tell them, this is the certain type of product I use, and this makes me feel very important, in an informal manner, such as Instagram, TikTok, and the other social media aspects that people use. They're less contested. Secondary membership groups are less contested. They're more formal. They're like your families, your religious groups, your religious people. And they tell people to be a certain way, and move a certain way, and people believe them. Opinionated leaders, you have reference groups such as people in people's churches. There are opinionated groups, like, well, certain people, like the pastor might drive. In the 70s, he had a Cadillac, so that was very important. And that was an opinionated belief that he was successful if he had a Cadillac, and the church would try to make it happen for him to get the Cadillac. So I believe that is another important thing we went through in this chapter. And we also discussed lastly that these products and their consumer decision making, they all have life cycles. As we get older, we make different decisions. We might not want the same things we had as a younger person. So that's the end of my basic expression of this chapter. Thank you very much for your time.